Hi, welcome to this launch event from Independent Lives. We're here to celebrate and launch a new film, Tyler's Story. I'm here today with the key people who've been involved in this, in pulling this event together. So first of all, Tyler, who has come today and will be answering some questions with us later on. Karen Stevens from Skills for Care, who we originally started working with on having a developing disability awareness concept through a grant, which then eventually moved into Tyler's film on a broader sense. And Steve, who is the person who helped us make this really a reality, pulling those films and bringing the skills to edit and develop the film. I can see that with this live streaming, which will start in about 10 minutes, we're just letting people join in on YouTube. So currently, and Facebook as well. So currently we're looking at 16 people have already signed in. If you'd like to use the chat is there, and later on when we have a panel and question and answers, it will be easy for people to be able to ask questions through the chat function. You may need to be logged into YouTube if you're going to do that, but if you want to say hello, you can use the chat function to say hello now if you want to. I can see the numbers are going up and up, so we've got 21 people at home already logged in, and we've also got people in the main office watching on the large screen. So this is an exciting event for us. At Independent Lives, we've been established for 21 years. We started back in 2001 with a group of disabled people who had decided to take control of their care and support by having a direct payment. And they got together with the local authority and a local charity to form a new organisation, a new charity called the Independent Living Association. That charity carried on for a number of years and then turned into Independent Lives with a trading arm and a number of new services. But that original thought, that original idea about people leading an organisation like this to help bring more choice and control to wider people has stayed as a fundamental platform of what we're trying to achieve. And what that's done is it's helped us look at what we can do, how we can make an impact in our local communities. Our board of trustees is still representative of the disabled people who might use our service or might need health and social care support in the future or have a lived experience of disability. And that helps guide us and guide the work that we do. We've now become much larger, so we have, from that beginning where there were 2 members of staff and a group of trustees, we now have 130 members of staff and a wide range of services across West Sussex, East Sussex, Croydon and beyond. We have ambitious plans for the future around helping more people have better choice and control over their lives, and delivering services to help us make that possible. And I can see we're getting more and more people joining in, as well as the people outside in the office. We've also got 30 people online signed up to watch this film, which I'm very excited about. I won't delay it too much longer. I'm just letting some more people join in. We will be answering questions later on. And there's a few things that I wanted to mention about what we've managed to achieve over the last few years. Tyler's one of our advisors on the advice team as well. So as well as being the film star and the person who came up with the concept, he's also working as part of the team around direct payments. So again, direct payments has been one of the main parts that we've started with, and it's part of our mission to try and encourage more people to take control over their care and support. They have built up a large number, so over 300 new people in West Sussex and Croydon became direct payments employers last year. Our impact report is available on our website, which has all of the figures around how we've managed to deliver part of our mission about extending that choice and control. But as well as those people, we've been working quite a lot on how you find staff, which is why Karen and Tyler will be very familiar with how important it is to have the right staff and be able to find them at the right time. So we've been doing a lot of work on PA matching and finding new recruits. We've trained 380 PAs last year, and some of that training was funded by Skills for Care. So we've been very grateful for that support. And we've also been able to create a new platform working with West Sussex and Skills for Care to bring PA pages to life, where PAs can advertise themselves for work, and employers can advertise the jobs they want to PAs. And the next development will also include more training and information and advice so that people can access that as well. There's been, as well as that process of looking at the PAs and making sure that they're available for people, there's some people that need extra support from our care and support service, which we launched in 2020, a Home First service to add to that, to help people who need to get home from hospital and have immediate care and support there. That team has been very important over the last 2 years with the pandemic, and we've had many new people arrive from different backgrounds who are starting in social care for the first time. So having that kind of training and support, but actually bringing people in who might have worked in the aviation field before or travel industry has added something to our culture and how we work together, and brought new ideas and ways of working. So it's been a very interesting time, but that team has managed to, in 1 year, deliver 118,000 visits to individual people in their home to help them.
That's a lot.
Yes. It's been a very busy time, but people might need calls as early as 7 in the morning and as late at 11 at night. So you need to have people ready and able to do that. It's and it's great today to have Karen here, who's our expert on recruitment in social care and the workforce in general. So later on, I hope we get some questions specifically about that too. And I just wanted to make sure that we all got on, and I think we've got everyone here now. So I think it's absolutely fine for us to start the film. So without any further ado, shall we move on to our film? So thank you very much and welcome.
My name is Tyler. I live in Worthing. I was born and raised here. Worthing is a really nice place to live, and it has a nice variety of different things to do here. There's the pier, you're close to the beach as well. It is basically a little seaside town. I socialise, play sport, play table tennis, go to the gym and do things like everyone else. When I was younger, I used to be very socially quite quiet, wouldn't really speak to people, but as soon as I started playing table tennis, I realised and I could compete at a good level, and same as any other able-bodied player, it really has broken a lot of barriers for me. I enjoy going to the gym. I really love the buzz that it gives me. It also makes me feel mentally and physically a lot more happy with myself. I have an office job at the moment, but I feel like going to the gym and working out and being active really balances out my life. You make a lot of friends like going to the gym, like people you would just say hello to, and people do recognise me when I go. Initially, they recognise me because of my wheelchair. Oh, there's a guy in a wheelchair, you know, he's at the gym. But as people get to know me, that they know that there's more to me than just a chair. I'm really, really competitive. I really do like pushing myself. I'm up for a challenge and people know that. I have cerebral palsy. I was born with it. It's basically brain damage that has impacted the messages getting to certain areas of my body. So it actually affects more of my legs and the movement and balance that I have in my legs. It can make me tense, but it also impacts the level of coordination that you have. So easy day-to-day tasks can be quite difficult with someone with cerebral palsy. I felt challenged in daily life, probably more when I was young, when I was about 18, 19, when I started doing a lot of things independently. Being able to have the confidence to go up and ask for help, I think that was a really hard thing for me to do at the start, whereas now I feel like I've developed and I'm able to talk to people. There have been situations where I have felt held back by my disability. When I've tried to go out for a night out and then I've been told that I'm not allowed in because I'm potentially a fire hazard. That is something that has made me feel, oh, okay, if I wasn't in this situation, this wouldn't have happened. The driving situation is one of the hardest things that I face at the moment. It's because my own confidence and, about going out and getting about. But I feel so pleased that I have managed to pass and be driving. So it enables me to be a lot more independent and have a lot more freedom. But it doesn't come without its challenges.
In 100 yards, turn left.
What's the longest you spent looking for a space?
Well, probably about half an hour. And then probably by then, if I can't find anything, I've turned around and gone home and decided not to do it.
Really?
I've been I've driven down here before and I wanted to go to the gym and I couldn't park anywhere and I was just like, not today.
Turn left now and then enter the roundabout and take the second exit.
But then I've also done that, when I've gone to get my hair cut, say in Broadwater, which is about 10 minutes from where I live. I couldn't park down there either, and it was raining, that's why I didn't want to walk. And I just decided, no. I mean, to be honest, I've just started leaving it in the road. Not in the road, but do you know what I mean? I've just
just started. And take the second exit onto Chapel Road.
Just been okay, it's in this space-ish. They have to deal with it. And then I've just really, really tried to get out of the car. But I've been really, it's not great. It's not a case of being able to park it. It's a case of being able to actually get my chair out of the car. And if I can't do that, I might as well turn around and go home. That's why it's so important to have disabled bays. The social model of disability basically looks at how society is disabling people and not the disability itself. So looking at the stairs is a barrier to people accessing and being fully included within society. So that is something we need to consider and have a look at. The current gym that I'm at is very accessible and it's really good. It's very large and it's got lots of space to manoeuvre my chair about. I don't feel like I'm cramped up or anything at any point. And also they have accessible toilet, shower and changing room for disabled people. And I feel like I can go there, do my thing, shower and come back and be as independent as I can be. They do think about disabled users and disabled customers, and they do think about the types of machines that are there, and they do care about ensuring that every customer is looked after. It's important as a whole, really, that every background and disability is catered for by an organisation, because it helps to build up inclusion in their customer base, but also in wider community, they get seen as an organisation as a company that actually looks after also, you know, every customer, disability or no disability. The more effort they put into having an accessible location and, you know, ramps and disabled toilets, the more the local community will actually think, oh God, you know, they've got this, this and this. There's no concerns about, you know, having a disabled child or whatever. I think it's important that everyone can live their life independently, disability or no disability, because everyone has the same rights. Everyone has a human right to live their life how they want to live it. And I think because, you know, just because you've got a disability, this shouldn't be any different. So this is why we need to promote disability awareness, to break down those barriers so that disabled people don't feel different anymore, and that we're just accepted and we're supported. I work at Independent Lives as a direct payment advisor on the IAA team, and I work on the phone lines and answering emails and getting back to customers with their questions about employing PAs. I do think what I do has a positive impact on people's lives. I have gone from people calling up and contacting us about direct payments to actually chasing the referral from the social worker and getting them in place with their own carers and everything. And when you think about the whole process and the impact that that's having on someone's life, you know, you can clearly see that you're making a difference. It's really, really important to have a good support network around you as a disabled person, because it really kind of breaks barriers and also enables you to access a lot more facilities. Like I know I have really good friends around me. I know that I can go out and have a good time and not be concerned about that. So I think the importance of promoting disability awareness in society is massive. If a friend came up to me and they wanted my advice, I would say that we've come a long way since when I was young, that things are becoming a lot more accessible and we live in a more inclusive society. We still have steps to achieve, but I feel like in time we will get there. And it's, you know, it's only through promoting accessible facilities, having more disabled people in the media and Paralympic sport that we can really like bridge any gaps. I carried the Paralympic lantern, I think it was in 2011, just before London 2012, because I had been chosen to represent Great Britain in a World Junior competition, playing table tennis, and I won a bronze medal. And that was an amazing experience. And you know, getting to go up to Trafalgar Square holding the Paralympic lantern and having that security around me, like I felt like a celebrity. But yeah, it's just me. I was just doing the things I enjoy, and table tennis was it for me. I don't let my disability define me. I always think I'm me first. My personality and my character shines through, and I think that this is the case for a lot of disabled people. So many people have so much character to them, but I think that other able-bodied people may struggle to break that barrier down because they don't know what are the right and wrong things to say to a disabled person. I find that a lot of occasions they're quite scared to, you know, say the wrong thing. So I just think we need to just have a conversation, because so many disabled people are probably, you know, more comfortable about laughing about awkward situations than you can believe. So yeah, have a conversation. As time goes on, I just think we are moving to equality, and I do really see it happening. You know, in the next 10 years or so, I'm a positive person, so I really do feel like that will happen. And I just think, you know, by having a conversation and talking to disabled people and involving them in this movement, we can really make it happen. People aren't really looking at someone in a wheelchair anymore. You know, it is just a day-to-day thing, whereas 10 years ago, I would have felt like really, watched and seen. Whereas now I feel like I can live my life and do my thing and, live it to the fullest. So I do think that that's the positive change, where it's become a lot more accepted. And then, it's not such an anomaly to see disabled people living their life. Don't treat every disabled person the same. We're all different. We're all our own person. We all have our own personalities. And I think by talking about it, it will just become the norm and we won't feel different. And that is the way that we can get closer to actually achieving equality within society.
And welcome back. So thank you for that, and well done, Tyler.
Thank you.
And Steve for helping design it. And I just wanted to welcome you all back. I hope you enjoyed our film. Right now we're ready to start answering questions. So if you have a question for anyone on our panel, please add it to the chat. And while that's happening, I just thought we'd all just introduce ourselves and make sure you're all aware of who we are and what we do. But we'll start with Tyler.
Yeah, so I'm Tyler. I'm a direct payment advisor. I've worked at Independent Lives on and off for about 7 years in different roles. And I'm really into disability sport and coaching, and really kind of getting disabled people out there and promoting equality. So that's what I'm all about.
Thank you. And welcome. And Karen?
Hi, I'm Karen Stevens. I'm Skills for Care Locality Manager covering the Sussex area. And Skills for Care across England supports people to recruit, develop and lead the workforce. And of course that'll include PAs. And that development aspect is also making sure that people are really disability aware.
Great, and I introduced myself earlier on today, so I'm Rebecca Smikle. I'm the Chief Executive here at Independent Lives, so I work closely with everyone on this panel, and this is Steve.
Hello, how's it going? Yeah, I'm Steve, so I run a business called Adventure Visuals, and we spend our time creating films like the one you've just seen, trying to tell people stories and give people a voice and an opportunity to be seen in society and, hopefully make a difference to people's lives, which is, kind of what we like to stand for. So that's what I do.
Great, and welcome. So thank you and welcome to our panellists today. So to start with the questions, I wondered whether or not we should start with a question around how we educate more people around disability. Who would want to answer that question? Tyler?
Personally, in my view, I think we educate people, about disability by talking about it more openly and not being scared to ask the questions, because I feel like society and people do kind of, are worried about what they can and can't say. So I just think it's about getting to know that individual with a disability and, getting to know their way of life and understanding, scenarios that are difficult for them, such as access, which, other people might not think about, where actually it's a real big issue for someone, that's got a disability. So I think if we highlight that, frequently and a lot more, then that would break down the barriers that do exist and, move towards positive change for disabled people. Yeah.
That's great. That's really interesting. And how do you think with this film, like in the film, you talked about having come a long way from when you were younger.
Yeah.
And so how do you think that has changed? How do you think you've experienced that change?
So I think personally it's about personal growth for me. Where when I was younger, I used to be quite timid and was quite shy about talking to new people, and even asking for help. I would be concerned about, approaching someone. But now, older and wiser, well, I'm not sure about wiser, but, just more confident in myself to ask for help, ask for support, but also society, I see small changes and positive movements towards making venues more accessible, to asking about what support we need, and also sport is a massive driving force for that as well with the Paralympics. I think that has really sparked the conversation for, you know, disability equality and showing what disabled people can do and that we live our lives, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's great. And it's all about those breaking down those barriers so we can all live together and out there. And why do we think, I mean, Steve, I wanted to ask you about, I suppose, the importance of storytelling. So this is very much a story about Tyler. So what do you think is important about?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, every single one of us from the day you're born, you're surrounded by stories. Like, you know, I daughter born last year, and from the moment she was born, we were reading her stories, we were reading books to her, you know. So we're grown up with stories, we relate to them in a really kind of, in a way that I don't think you relate to other ways of maybe giving information so much. So I think it's sort of ingrained in us to connect to a story. So you could just write down a list of all the kind of problems that people living with a disability face, and just say, look, this is the problem. But will people actually take action and really take that in? But by presenting those facts in a story like we did with Tyler, I think it enables people to relate to it and actually maybe think, well, maybe I should change the way I act around someone living with a disability. And so yeah, I think, and then I think using a film to do that just amplifies that tenfold again, because again, you know, it's all well and good writing down and reading something that, you know, Tyler could write down everything he said in the film, but there's no emotional sound to that. You would read it and go, okay, that's all well and good, but hearing Tyler actually telling you his experiences, I think just really drives home the importance of it. I think that's what's really important, I think, is that kind of connection that you get with the audience and the person telling the story.
Great. And you think Tyler's story specifically really worked with that format?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I learned loads. I spent 2 days kind of going around with Tyler, and I was really paying attention to everything. You know, we didn't necessarily run into too many kind of issues with accessibility. I know there was one point where we couldn't get into a place because there was a step, and I was like, wow! And it wasn't even a big step, but it was just, you know, Tyler was like, we can't go in here. I didn't really want to go in there anyway, but I'm not going to say what it was. But so I think, you know, I think it also enabled Tyler to maybe say more, having kind of the conversations that we had when we did the interview and when we were walking around and stuff. And I think just enabling that, as Tyler says, you know, that conversation, I learned loads, and hopefully we managed to get all of that sort of stuff into the film as well. So yeah, it was quite eye-opening for me. It was quite a really fun 2 days to sort of see how, you know, Tyler gets by and whatnot. And I think my favourite moment was when he made his table tennis coach fall off the chair.
Yes,
that was excellent. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And Karen, you know, from your point of view, why do you think that having Tyler's story being told in this way, why do you think that's interesting?
I think it's what Steve was saying. It's really impactful learning. People care. That's why they do the job they do in social care. But sometimes tapping into that and really getting to that emotional engagement, and it stays with people. They'll remember, Tyler, your experience. You've broken the myths that some people might carry. And I think what you said is really important, that people need to feel safe when they're learning. And sometimes you can be a bit clumsy about.
My way of thinking about this is that there's no silly question.
Exactly.
Because I think people are scared of saying the wrong thing, and that's what I want to move away from. I want them to feel comfortable and, like you just said, safe in asking those silly questions. I think that's what needs to happen, really.
And so, you know, I think there's two aspects for me particularly. There's breaking the myths, there's the learning around what being a disabled person, what your opportunities, but you've also, with this, shown employment. You know, you can work in social care, and what incredible expertise you bring into that. And I think that's important to get across. And I'm, you know, I was looking at, we gather some data from about the workforce in the adult social care workforce data set. Only 2% of people that work in social care have a disability by their definition, and that's something we really need to look at.
Yeah.
And we have, and you know, it's great activity like this, and I think we'll support it. But we've got to break the myths.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to provide the facts. Very positive business case for employing people. Break the myths, make sure people are enabled to work in adult social care as well. And then incredible contribution you bring to learning, which is absolutely great. And it's in that impactful learning that's good.
Great. Yeah, it's there's a huge point to our workforce about how we're going to bring in the right people with the right values.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's great, and having these kind of stories helps us bring that together. I mean, this one's really for any of us. How do you think, I mean, this is one way of educating people about disability and breaking down barriers. What other things do you think we could do?
I think having disabled people more in the media in different roles, and also I would love to see disabled people in the media, you know, showing that disabled people can be teachers, they can be athletes. When, you know, there is a high amount of disabled people who are involved in sport, and that's fantastic. But I know so many people that are disabled, they're teachers, they have full-time jobs, and it's showing that, you know, we have our own, you know, lives, we live in our own ways, and we're all very, very individual. So something that, you know, it's all about getting to know us personally, you know. Just because we've got a disability doesn't mean we're all the same. We're all very, very different individual people, and that's what's important, is to get to know the person, not just because, you know, their disability.
Yeah, there's a term I'm coming across a lot, and I hope it'll be the real focus of a lot of what we do in health and social care. And it's not what the matter with me, but what matters to me. You know, and that's where our attention, education, time, and efforts should be. And that you are the expert of your experience and what matters to you, as are others, and we really need to gear our development, recruitment, all those sorts of things around workforce, as well as what we provide.
For me, I mean, obviously I don't live this world as much as you guys do, so as an outsider, there's, I think, I guess one of the things that could change is the way that businesses, etc., cater for people who are living with a disability. So, you know, access and stairs and stuff was one thing, and quite soon after we filmed, you had that incident in the nightclub, which I don't know if you want to go into, but like that really shocked me, and I feel like maybe whether it's a local government thing or a kind of, you know, national government thing, putting pressure on them to change the way businesses are allowed to run, and sort of having more penalties almost if people aren't allowing people in as much as maybe. I think that would be really good to see. I've got no idea how you make that happen, but that's what I think. And yeah, I think that's probably it really, from my point of view.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some people kind of putting themselves in Tyler's position, in terms of, like, I don't know, trying to put a wheelchair in a car without actually being able to stand and do, you know, exactly how you did in the film, and actually experience that, so they can kind of see, wow, this is really difficult, and if I get in the way of that, it makes it even harder. So actually, it's a bit of a pipe dream, but like a little event where like lots of people come in and try things out, and they've got to try and get up the curb and stuff like that. You know,
some of the most effective learning is that experiential.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was visiting an organisation. As part of their induction, they do indeed get people to wear the glasses that affects vision, to spend a bit of time in a wheelchair, just to feel that, and then it becomes another layer of understanding.
And you've got a bit more empathy then as well, to understand. You understand, and there's more empathy, so you can help more, and you're in a better prepared position, aren't you?
And think topics like equality and diversity are part of what we call the care certificate. Everybody that works in health and social care, the expectation is they do that. And it's got a unit, but as you say, you've got to bring that to life. You've got to make it actually really impactful stuff for
Yeah.
people. And so videos, experience, all these things will really contribute to that.
Yeah, and I think that's true, that bringing that equality and diversity to life is really important. Like we've had, you really experience that when actually there is a training session and everyone does the training session, but actually working in an environment which is more inclusive, where you're talking to your colleagues and there is a level of diversity which is open and people are free to talk to one another. You get much more conversations going, and then people understand it in a real sense. And so that's been very much part of what we're trying to achieve here, is to try and make an inclusive environment, but get people to have open conversations with each other and work together.
So the organisation learns as much as the
Yes.
individuals.
We learn from each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, Tyler and I have had lots of conversations over the years around how our organisation works and what areas are accessible, and, you know, was pivotal in us becoming a disability confident leader around what internal systems and processes we needed to change. And I think you're right about businesses. So in the film you see the businesses who have thought about how you access a clothes shop, how you access a gym, and because of that they could be included in the film because they're there and they're ready. But there's lots of businesses and business owners who haven't necessarily thought about it, and what that does is it stops them getting those customers, and they're lesser for it. So yes, there's legislative, if I can say it, and campaigning and pressure, but also it's about celebrating those organisations and those businesses who've actually achieved what needs to happen. And
I just had a really interesting idea for a follow-up to this whole project, actually. What about like a Gordon Ramsay style transformation? So there's a business which is not accessible at all, and then with the help of you and some people going in and saying, right, you need to change this, this and this, change it, and then you see what difference it makes to the business. I think that would be a really great, interesting exercise to see, you know, and encourage businesses to actually take it on and change it.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that would be absolutely amazing. I really do think that organisations need to get disabled people more involved, and even like in planning of in planning of new buildings, they should be consulting disabled people, and they should be saying, is this disabled toilet actually accessible? Because what you find is they make these places and actually you can't shut the door or turn around in the space because it's not built quite right. So I think it's, for me personally, I'd love to be involved in actually looking at that structurally and saying, actually, this doesn't work. You know, we need to be involving disabled people so that actually this is usable for how it was supposed to be built, you know.
Do you ever go into a place and think that this kind of accessibility they've given to you is almost an afterthought, rather than kind of like it's been thought of? Yeah, it's like a bolt-on, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, quite a bit, but I'm quite, tend to be able to. The thing is with disabled people is we adapt, and because that's how it's been, we always find a different way of coping with a situation. It's not ideal, but we will do it. But yes, that's why I think that we need to be involved in more planning of buildings, you know, of how businesses can work with disabled people, because we really do think out of the box in terms of how we operate.
And I think it's having more than one person as well, because you sometimes see that what they've done is they've thought, well, we'll put a ramp on, but they haven't consulted enough disabled people to understand that it's not just a ramp. So the ramp might be behind a gravel driveway where you can't actually get across the gravel because it's not a flat surface to get to the ramp in the first place. And then you've also got, you know, other people with visual impairments or hearing impairments, that actually it's about seeing it from lots of different angles and making the best accessible building you can from an early stage. I
wanted to say as well, I think you know, I keep harking back to recruitment and employment in social care, and I think it's vital. And, you know, even going to a career event where there might be a cohort of younger people, they might not come and work in social care, but actually we do get them to wear glasses, to wear a bodysuit that restricts movement. So they get a bit of an insight. They might never work with us, but it's starting to sow a seed of awareness that could impact in another area.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we have produced a guide on employing disabled people in social care, and one aspect of that is some case studies. Actually, how it has impacted positively in those employers, in those organisations that have indeed, as you say, brought people on board to say, actually, this is my restrictions, this is what I'm thinking, this might help and enhance what you're offering.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and in terms of getting people to take action, I think, you know, from our point of view, from a kind of video marketing kind of point of view, when we talk about case studies with our clients and stuff, it's all about saying, look, these people have done it and it's made a massive impact, so why don't you do it? You know, and it's a persuasion tool almost to say it's not going to be a waste of time, it's actually going to make a positive difference. And that, you know, I think the whole case study idea is a fantastic thing that really drives people to take action, for sure. I think that's really powerful.
That and cloning Tyler.
Yeah, that's another follow-up film.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not so sure about that, but yeah.
I mean, thinking about the future, what can you think of one thing that you're really excited about? We're halfway through 2022, we're going to move on to 2023. What do you think is something that we can really be excited about and positive about going forward for disabled people?
For me, when I was considering this, I think it is that whole system shift in health and social care to actually what matters for people.
Yeah.
And not thinking about it's what we do for people. It's actually what matters to them, and really support it. And there's a big collective response, particularly in Sussex, but across the integrated health and social care system, to really look at that. As well as these real opportunities to employ people with disabilities, disabled people, in terms of what they can contribute to the workforce as well.
I think for me it's just getting to understand that every disabled person is individual, and we've all got our own, you know, our own personalities, our own needs, our own, you know, hopes for the future and everything like that. And it's just getting to open the conversation and feel that you know, that society can talk openly about disability. And I think, you know, by doing that slowly we get to a point where, you know, it won't be a thing we can, you know, have to walk around as much anymore. You know, it will be, oh, you know, he's in a chair, like, let's just chat to him and, you know, ask him, you know, how his day is and stuff like that. I think that would be a way of moving forward, really, just opening the conversation.
Great. Did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I think in general in society, in life, people feel a lot more empowered to speak their mind, if it's underrepresented, you know, parts of society. So I think the more and more people manage to kind of get that boldness to speak out, and the more people do it, the more people will feel that there's a, you know, there is a movement, as you know, you call it a movement in the film. And I think, you know, the more as people become more happy to speak up, I think that's going to really kind of propel. It'd be nice to see this film spearhead that and help people do that more. So yeah.
Great. Yeah. I mean, I was wondering about one of the things that I've seen over the last. I've been in social care for many years, and over 20. There we go. But it's been interesting to me to see that change. And like 20 years ago, the kind of voluntary sector and the user-led movement was there, whereas you're right, it's kind of starting to happen in other environments, in local authorities, the NHS, their strategic peer leaders are kind of having that impact. I wonder how much, for me, I get rather excited by technology and how technology's changed and how we can use it to help all of our health and social needs. But I wonder about how, for disabled people, I've met lots of people who are being able to use off-the-shelf products to control their environments, to open doors, close doors, undo curtains. So I feel quite excited about that. Do you see that making a change?
Yeah, because all this, technology that has come about, it's enabling disabled people to live more independently, and do things that they may have previously had to have asked for help about. But actually, this technology that's come about, they're able to, shut blinds by themselves. I know it sounds like a little task for someone else, but for someone with a disability, to be able to do that independently is a big deal. So yeah.
I've heard lots of people using them because they're so. It's rather nice to be able to control your home, your heating, you turn on your washing machine,
the lights, everything,
turn it off again. And actually, with everybody looking at this and thinking, actually, this might have been designed originally for someone who had a specific need for it, but actually, it might be something that will improve all of our lives for the future.
Definitely. I was talking recently to somebody. And because of the level of support they needed, they had to have a lot of people coming into their home. And that can feel quite invasive, actually. So they looked at to what degree can tech help, and it's reduced the number of people. So it's not reduced the level of care and support they have, but it's reduced the number of people. It feels less invasive, a bit more manageable for that person. And when people do come in, they're doing what's really needed to support that person. So, there's two sides to that, and I think there's something we really need to enhance, actually, the availability for all.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not very techie, so I've got nothing to add to that.
That's really interesting.
Ironically,
It's the person that did all the technology around
I'm
our
into
film.
some tech, but
but not the other type.
Super into it, no.
Interesting. And I wanted to really thank everyone for their work on this project and future projects coming forward.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions around how we might move forward in the future? Or any other questions for each other?
I think it's there's a couple of things that I've learnt through this, genuinely, Tyler, is again reminded of actually seeing, hearing, knowing some of the myths around, some of the stereotypes, some of the opportunities that we should enhance. And I think if we can embed that learning much more and really do something much more systematically, it's not just a one-off. It becomes,
thing,
as you're saying, actually, let's look at what can happen when you employ, when you use people with their expert by experience to develop people, really enhancing that area.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the film, I just want it to be put out there and kind of hopefully inspire a lot of other disabled people, maybe like younger and just started on their journey and everything like that, to help them realise that they're not limited to what they can do. There is so much you can do. There's so much we can adapt nowadays. So I really hope that has that positive impact for someone. And also I just think that just talk to family and talk to your friends about disability, talk to your children about disability, because at the end of the day, if we're having a conversation about it, that's how you educate society.
Yeah, I do find that when talking to my children, it's a very different generation. It's one that is more interested in inclusion and diversity in a very broad sense. So it's a very interesting conversation because they do identify with their friends and the difference, and a much more inclusive school system than we had when I was at school. But that's quite interesting because they all are quite fluent and comfortable in a way that actually I don't remember.
And I would really like that people have the confidence to say, actually, I've got the right values to work in X, Y, and Z. I've got the right values to work in health and social care. and the skills can be developed, but having that fundamental values that you things like this have an impact, and you grow up to actually understand something. It's not, you know, that, you know, I'd really like people to think much more, and we recruit much more for the value base of people. Because the rest we can develop.
And teach,
And teach, absolutely. Yeah.
And how do you think we can do that? Because actually, you know, I know that there's young people out there who have got the right values and the right purpose, but they might not have thought about this as a career. It's not something that comes up particularly.
We've got a lot of work, and we are doing a lot of work. We have a whole range of materials that get across, actually, if you have the right value base. And this is how you can assess some of that, and there's scenarios and all sorts of things that people can respond to. And then getting employers to, instead of ask the usual, how long, you know, have you worked previously in, it's actually, how are you on aspects of dignity and rights and choice, and give me an example when. So there are lots of learning materials, lots of tools. We have a whole suite of recruiting for values to support employers just to get that right for people. Because, and the research behind it says, you get this right, the retention's better, the skills are enhanced, and the service really is improved for it. So a lot of information around it out there.
Great. And with employers, I mean, thinking on an employment basis, employers, businesses, what else can we do you think, to make our employment offer more exciting, interesting, or possible for people applying for roles? What do you think?
Well, I saw a lovely drone footage of Worthing Pier.
Oh yeah.
But if people,
disclaimer, that wasn't me. That was stock footage. But
well, there you go. But there's a Department of Health and Social Care big site called Made with Care, and if people look on that, there's lots of examples, lots of imagery, including one local organisation with Worthing Pier feature again, where it shows, you know, people sitting on the pier having chips, the life that people want, and how you can support that in social care. And I think the more we get that whole message imagery focus on, it's what people have rights to and deserve in terms of the support they gain from social care. So I think that, you know, all sorts of ways of making sure that it features in our psyche and attention.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, it's been fascinating to talk to you and to understand those different perspectives around building a film like this and its purpose. I do remember right at the beginning, we had applied for a number of a grant with Skills for Care, and we had a number of different training sessions we were going to develop and deliver in West Sussex, East Sussex, and Croydon, and beyond, and one of the things within it was we will do some disability awareness training. But we hadn't specified exactly what that was. And then it's turned into this, which actually was much more impactful than anything we had first imagined. But that really came from the person who was leading it at the time. Said, well, Tyler might be interested in delivering it. Why don't you ask Tyler how he would deliver it? And then you said, well, I wouldn't deliver any of that, actually. I would do something completely different.
For me, I just think that a film and to show someone's experience is more impactful. I mean, it's all good and well to know about the legislation and the models of disability, but I think until you can talk about someone's experiences, it's not very relatable for someone learning about disability awareness. So I think there's a good combination of having the theory side of it, but as well as this film to hopefully kind of bring in that understanding and empathy, and, you know, actually being able to relate to that person with a disability and their experience. Because it hopefully, I want them to leave, you know, their training and think, actually, you know, going around town and like walking up, oh, there's no like drop down curbs or whatever, that they might think about that. It's just little things. Just have a think about what would need to change here for it to be fully accessible. And even with my friends, you know, on a day-to-day basis, we have conversations, and you know, a lot of them, you know, some of my friends said, "Oh, I never really thought about that," and that's the type of thing that I would really like this to trigger. Is just that thought.
Yeah. And when we survey people about why they stay in social care, what keeps them going, that job satisfaction, the making a difference comes up really strongly.
Yeah.
And so if you can raise people's awareness of what making a difference can be, that increases job satisfaction. They can see what they're doing and the impact it has on people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think one of the things that stuck out for me during the entire process was the idea that it's, I want to get this right, is that it's society disabling people and not the disability. So, you know, more than capable of getting by if the right things are in place to make that happen. And I think people are so inward in their lives these days. I think everyone's quite kind of like self-centered in a way. And I think if we can get people to actually look outward a bit more and be more aware of these things and notice things more, I think that's definitely a really good step forward. It won't solve everything, but I think it's you know, at least a way forward for sure.
Exactly.
So going in and like, could I come in here with Tyler?
Yeah.
Could we come here together? Would this work as you're walking around? And you can imagine that would be a great change for people to make after spending time watching this film.
Exactly.
But I also want to thank you, Tyler,
Thanks.
for doing this and making sure that, you know, to bringing this really to life, because it is much, much better than what we had envisaged at the beginning, and it became something excellent that I'm really proud of and proud to be involved in.
Should be.
Thank you.
And well done, all of you here. And I know there are people in the office watching as well, because it does take people to hear and respond and react and develop together. So you've done an incredible job.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Yeah, it's been
bringing
great.
your film experience has been really useful to us, and we wanted to thank you for bringing that experience, and Tyler for bringing your personal experience. We wanted to give the two of you a little gift.
I wonder what this is.
So thank you. So here we go. It's your very own clipper.
Oh, amazing.
Clapper.
This is a clapper board.
It is a clapper board.
Yeah. Do you know what it does?
Wow.
It goes clap.
Yeah, but why?
Do you want to explain?
No, it's okay.
I think isn't it so that you can get the sound and the picture together, because you can see it close and you can hear it go clack.
That's it. That's exactly right. Did I tell you that last time I saw you?
No.
Oh, really? Most of the time, people just don't have a clue. They're like, "Oh, this is fun," and they just kind of like play around with it. And but yeah, no, this is really cool. It syncs audio and video.
Excellent.
Wow, it's amazing.
Oh, well, thank you so much for your help.
And some chocolate.
And some chocolate.
Never say no to chocolate.
Very good. And Tyler, which way round am I? There we go, Tyler, as our film star.
I have to look at this.
Look at that.
Nice one.
Nice.
Lovely. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And for being a great employee too.
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
We'll hide those from people in the office.
I'll be like,
What chocolate?
Thank you.
Thank
It was an amazing experience, and I'm so grateful that you let me do it. Yeah.
Great. And also, if other people have watched Tyler's film and think, absolutely, I want to know more about this movement, I want to do more around this, I want to make contact with Independent Lives, our website is independentlives.org, where you can find us. There's a donation page, but also a way of getting involved as a trustee or as a volunteer or a part of our team. There are vacancies available too. So thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Karen, for all your ongoing support from Skills for Care and being here today.
It's small seed and you grow great things.
We do, yes.
Exactly, yeah.
It's very useful. And thank you all for coming. I really appreciate your time and coming along and watching the film, and I hope it takes you forward in the future and inspires you.